Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to dive into the current state of the housing market and uncover the surprising culprits behind the misinformation that's been swirling around. The real story might not be what you would expect, and it may challenge your own beliefs. Let's kick it off by looking at three recent reports making headlines. First up, in the US, the median price of a new single-family home sits at $425,786. And a staggering 96.5 million households, which accounts for roughly 73% of all U.S. households, simply cannot afford a median-priced new home. That's according to the National Association of Home Builders. For our second example, in this year alone, up to 26 million households have been priced out of the U.S. housing market. The reason? Mostly soaring prices and the rising mortgage rates, making it especially tough for first-time homebuyers. And for our final example, let's not forget about the millennials, who might be feeling like owning a good home is nothing more than a distant dream from headlines like this. But hold on, what's really going on here? Let's take a closer look at some facts that the news media often overlooks, probably doesn't even understand, or chooses to gloss over to create sensational headlines like the ones we just looked at. If you find the information in this video valuable, a thumbs up and a subscription to the channel would be appreciated. Alright, let's dig in and get to the bottom of things. And if you stick around later, I'll have some statistics about the typical person wanting to buy a home that may shock you. Now, back in the day, many people used to start out with what was called an entry-level or starter home. In 1982, 40% of all new single-family homes built fell into this category. Fast forward to today, and that number has dropped to a mere 7%. It's becoming increasingly difficult to even find what's considered a starter home nowadays. So why aren't they being built anymore? Well, entry-level homes are defined as 1,400 square feet or less, and Americans are simply just not satisfied with that size anymore. Before we proceed, I do want to mention that, unless otherwise stated, all the data in this video comes from the U.S. Census Bureau, primarily from their detailed report called The Characteristics of New Housing. That's approximately 800 pages long. We should also keep in mind that the government only collects data on the sales of new homes, and any data they report on existing home sales comes from the National Association of Realtors. Now, let's examine how the size of new homes has evolved over time. In 1960, the median size of new homes built was a modest 1,289 square feet, with an average floor area per person living in the home of only 387 square feet. By 1970, the median size had increased to 1,500 square feet, and the square feet per person was at 478. In 1980, the median had jumped again to 1,740 square feet, with 630 square feet per person. Fast forward to 2010, and the median size had reached a surprising 2,392 square feet, with 924 square feet per person. Amazingly, the average floor space per person has increased nearly 145% since 1960, and the size of new homes built has gone up 85%. No wonder new home prices have increased so much. Homes just keep getting bigger and bigger, despite families getting smaller. So, while it's true that new home prices have risen over the decades, we're not comparing houses of the same size over time, and thus we're not really comparing apples to apples. The simple fact is that most people are not satisfied with a starter home anymore, and their desires quite often exceed their income levels. The homes Americans are wanting, buying, and living in are not only 59% bigger compared to the average home our parents or grandparents may have purchased just in 1970, but they also come with more bathrooms, bigger attached garages, and more appliances. In 1973, 40% of new homes built had less than 2 bathrooms. By 2022, that number dropped to 3.2%. In fact, in the Midwest, 54% of all new homes built in 2022 had 4 or more bathrooms. How about the garages? In 1973, 22% of new homes had no garage at all, and another 17% only had a one-car garage. By 2022, only 8% didn't have a garage, and 7% had a one-car garage. Now let's take a look at the cost per square foot in 1980. The median new single-family home sold for $64,600, with a median square footage of 1,740, resulting in a cost per square foot of $37. In 2022, the median price was $457,800, with a median area of 2,383, making the cost per square foot $192. Thus, over that 42-year period, the median price of a new home per square foot did jump 420%. And that seems shocking when reported like that. It makes for great headlines. However, that's mostly just due to normal inflation. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, since 1980, food and beverages have risen 267%. Medical care has increased 632%. What's called other goods and services has jumped 606%. Motor vehicle insurance has jumped 731%. And keep in mind that the stock market, represented by the S&P 500, is up 10,926%, giving it a compounded annual growth rate of 11.56%. In fact, if we take that 420% increase per square foot for new home prices from 1980 and calculate its average annual growth rate, it's only 4%. And according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the annual inflation rate since 1980 has averaged about 3.1%. So it seems that the price of homes has slightly outpaced inflation, but we are still not quite comparing apples to apples. New single-family homes today offer more amenities, more appliances, more bathrooms, and often feature 2 or 3 car garages. It's simply a reflection of our desires for bigger and better things in life. If we could truly account for these other amenities, more bathrooms and bigger garages, accurately, the average growth rate in home prices would be closer to just that normal inflation rate of 3.1%. Now, let's switch gears and look at how median household incomes have changed over that same period. From 1980 to 2022, the median household income rose from $16,830 to about $70,784, resulting in a 320% increase and an annual growth rate of 3.5% for median wages. Notice that when we account for the huge increase in the size of new homes, adjust for normal inflation, and consider that homes now have more bathrooms and bigger garages, those headlines we started this video with don't quite align with the facts. In fact, the median wage is pretty much in line with the increase in home prices based on square footage. Considering in a recent survey of millennials, 67% who one day plan to buy a home report having no savings at all for a down payment. And 42% cited bad credit as one of their biggest holdbacks because lower credit scores push interest rates even higher. Perhaps before we start worrying about home prices, it's time to get our own financial affairs in order. A sound financial budget and a good credit score are essential steps towards the dream of home ownership. If you're interested, check out my videos on budgeting and building a great credit score. Now, keep in mind that the data we've discussed so far is based on the entire U.S., and things vary greatly from state to state, within each state, and even from neighborhood to neighborhood. As of June 2023, The median price for existing homes nationally was $416,000. However, when we break it down regionally, the median price in the Midwest of the country was $315,500, while in the western part of the country, it was all the way up to $622,000. According to a study by Rocket Homes, which utilized data from the U.S. Census Bureau and the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis on existing homes, Hawaii comes in with the most expensive housing with a median price of $732,000 for an average size of only 1,229 square feet. This translates to a cost per square foot of $595. California comes in second with a median price of $684,800 for 1,778 square feet, resulting in a cost per square foot of $385. Now, let's compare that to states like West Virginia, where the median home price was $114,600 and the median square footage was $1,789. This gives a price per square foot of only around $64. Mississippi has a median home price of $141,900 and a median square footage of 2,033, resulting in a price per square foot of around $70. Let's add another layer to the discussion by looking at median incomes in these four states. Hawaii's median income is $83,173, California $78,672, West Virginia $48,037, and Mississippi $46,511. We can then look at what's called the Home Affordability Index. Typically, it's recommended to keep the home price to income ratio between 3 and 4, depending on other existing debts someone may have. If we take California's median home price of $684,800 and divide it by the median income of $78,672, we get a ratio of 8.7. It's clear that California is one of the worst states for housing affordability. In fact, it can be far worse than that if we break California down into various cities. Check out the top 10 worst cities for housing affordability. They have a ratio ranging from 11.5 all the way up to 16.7. According to the latest census data, approximately 65% of U.S. households own their own homes. However, states like California, New York, and Hawaii, which have some of the highest housing prices, also have some of the lowest levels of home ownership, hovering around the mid-50s percentage-wise. On the other hand, states with relatively low housing costs tend to have some of the highest levels of home ownership. For example, West Virginia has home ownership percentage rates in the high 70s. Finally, the main culprit behind the recent decrease in affordable housing is the interest rates and the recent high inflation. Just during the summer of 2021, 30-year mortgages got as low as 2.8%. Currently, in July of 2023, according to Freddie Mac, the national average is around 6.78%. To give you a quick idea of what this means in terms of payments for a $400,000 mortgage, at 2.8% interest, your monthly payment would be $1,643.58. However, at 6.78%, the payment would increase to $2,602.37. Thus, for the same $400,000 mortgage, the monthly payment has jumped a whopping $1,000 per month. Keep in mind that these figures don't include property taxes and insurance, which further add to the mortgage payments. Now, it's true that we still have a shortage of homes being built in this country. However, we need to acknowledge that we continue to construct larger and nicer homes with bigger attached garages. Our desire for more space just keeps expanding. What was once considered the American dream of a modest house may have evolved into the quest to keep up with the Joneses, partly influenced by social media recently. And many people today have purchased too much home for their income level, making it difficult to save for retirement properly and have a proper emergency fund. Of course, all this information might not be much help to those currently looking to buy a home, but it can help provide some perspective on the situation. And naturally, realities can vary greatly depending on where you live. If you found some of this information informative, please leave your comments below. Thanks for tuning in.